So the topic which we are going to cover will be object-oriented programming concepts, in which we will be covering topics like encapsulation. Uh, Let me just open Notepad++. Okay, so the topic which we are going to cover are in object-oriented programming language, what all things comes. First of all, there is something known as encapsulation. Then we have inheritance. Then we have polymorphism. Okay, polymorphism. Polymorphism, though there are two things in polymorphism. One is overloading, which we have already seen, and second is overriding, that we will cover once we'll be done with inheritance. Then we also need to cover abstraction and interfaces. Interfaces is a form of abstraction only. 100% abstraction is known as this. Yeah, so these are few concepts which comes under object oriented programming language. If a programming language covers all these things, if any programming language has all these features in it, like encapsulation, some form of encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction, if a programming language cover all these things, then that programming language is known as object oriented programming language. If a language does not have all these things and cover few of the things, maybe they have encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism, but they don't have abstraction, then that programming language will not be object oriented, but that will be object based programming language. Okay, so that's the difference. And the concept which what we are going to learn here, these five things what we are going to learn here, all these things remain same considering any programming language, be it C Sharp, be it Java, be it Python, or any other object-oriented language. These concepts will remain same. Only thing will change is how they are implemented in a programming language. If we talk about Java and C Sharp, they are exactly same, but in other programming language they might change. Okay, so let's start with encapsulation. So first thing is encapsulation. Now what is encapsulation? Encapsulation, as the word says, something in capsule. There is a word called capsule, and you know what is a capsule. Capsule is something in which it's like a cover in which some medicine is there, and you have wrapped it up in some form of what we'll call some wrapper and all, right? So in Java or in any programming language, what will be encapsulation? Wrapping up everything in one single unit is known as encapsulation. So here, if you look at this, see my complete code, whatever I'm writing, like the data I'm creating or the methods I'm writing. If I look at all the methods here, the methods I'm writing, writing everything inside one single unit, and that single unit is known as a class. So here you look at this. This is one class. I created a class in which I'm everything. Wrapping up everything, methods as well as variables into single entity or single unit is known as encapsulation, and how we are achieving it in Java by creating a class. Inside that class, this is one single unit, and inside that we are writing the complete logic. So this is one form of encapsulation. Another example if I have to give, see, I have some logic to write, and that complete logic I'm writing in one method. So one method is a single unit entity in which I'm writing the complete logic. So that's another example of encapsulation. Okay, so what should I write when I have to explain encapsulation? Wrapping up e- everything in one single unit is encapsulation. Okay, now if you'll uh, go through some books and all, you'll get very high level definitions of it, so you can read from there. But the crux of all those will be this only, that wrapping up everything in one single unit is encapsulation. So how we are achieving it in Java? By creating a class. Let's say I created a class called employee, and everything I'm writing inside that, that is what encapsulation is. So any questions here? Okay, so next we have is inheritance. So let's quickly see this inheritance. Now, what is inheritance? Sometimes what happens is that you're writing certain logic, and let's say you need another class or maybe another form, uh, and the way few things implemented in new class is same as what are there in old class, and you need some more extra implementation as well. Okay, so one way will be write everything again and then write the logics which you need extra. Or the second way will be that just inherit the properties of the previous class. So what I mean to say is, let's say there is a class called class A, okay, in which there are three methods. Okay, then there is another class, let's say class B, in which there are five methods. Okay, and out of these five methods, three methods are common from class A. Okay, and remaining two are new. And remaining two are new. Now what you'll do? One way is that don't create, I mean, don't do not create another class. Do not create another class. Sorry, I repeat. What one way is that you create a class B, copy paste all these three methods and write two new. Right, this is one way. Or second way is create this class class B, then inherit class A. Now what benefit you will get? Let's say anything changes in these three methods. Okay, now if you're following the first approach where these three methods are a copy paste, then think what will happen. These three methods which are being shared, which are like common to both, and if some changes occur in these three methods, then you have to change at multiple location. In class A also you need to change, in class B also you need to change, and let's say if there is another class C, which also have these methods, then there also you need to change. So in inheritance it will be like uh, duplicacy of code will be there, like same code you'll be writing multiple times. Not a good idea, not a good way. So what we do in that case is we write class A, we write class B, and we say class B inherits class A. In that case, all the three methods which were written in class A, those will be available in B, as well as the new methods you can write further. Okay, so this concept is known as inheritance. Okay, so here there are two classes, class A and class B, and we are inheriting the methods of class A. So this first class is also known as superclass. Okay, you can call it superclass or you can call it parent class. Okay, anything you can call this. Whereas the class B, you can call this particular class B, as child class or subclass. Okay, and how we do this inheritance in Java? We write like this: class B, there is a keyword called extends class A. This means that class B is a subclass which is inheriting class A. Okay, so any questions till now? Quickly, if I give you what I've discussed is what is inheritance? Inheritance is like inheriting some of the properties. And what properties we can inherit? We can either inherit the variables or we can inherit methods. Okay, so there is a class A and then let's say there is a class B. Now, if some of the methods are being shared in class A and class B, then what you can do is write those methods in one class and then create another class in which you will say that class B extends class A. Okay, this way this class B will have everything with whatever is there in class A, as well as you can write new methods in class B. Okay, then one more thing, that this class A, which is like a super class, or you can also call it as parent class. Okay, then there is another class called class B, which is like child class, or you can also call it as subclass. So this is basics of inheritance. Now let me quickly write it in Java code and then we'll discuss more in inheritance. Okay, so here I'll close it. So today is day 9. Day 8 was more of XPath class. So I'll share. Okay, so here I'll create a class. Let's say I'll create a class and I call it machine. Okay, I'm not keeping anything. I'm in public static void main checked. I'll create this class called machine. Okay, now in machine class, here I'm creating one variable. Let's say int uh, engine power. This is one class I've created. Then one variable I've created. Then I'll create certain methods. So methods I'll create, let's say public void, and name of the method I'm keeping as, let's say run. So system.out.println, and here I'll say I am an run method of machine class. Okay, then I'll create another method. Let's say after run I'm saying save. So I'll say I'm in save method of machine class. Yeah, so these are couple of methods I've created. One is run and second is save. Now I'll create another class in this package and I'll call it, let's say car. So car is also a type of machine, so I'll simply saying car. Then in the car class, here I'll say extends. There is a keyword I'm using, extends what? Name of the other class. So the name of the other class is machine. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that car is a class which is extending machine. That means it is inheriting machine class and it will have all the methods from machine class. Okay, now here in this machine class I'll create certain methods. Say for example I'm saying public void uh, name of the method, let's say I'm running keeping as run as. Okay, so here I'll say I am in run as method of car class. Okay, so this is one. Let's say I'll copy it and create another method, and here I'm calling it as save as, and here I'm saying save as. Okay, so I created one class called machine in which we have two methods. I created another class called car in which again there are two methods, run as and save as. And then I'll create another class, let's say demo machine, and I'm keeping this public static void main checked here. Now what we can do here, what we can achieve here, see, there are two class. One is machine. So let me create an class instance of machine class. Let's say I'm calling it Mac equal to new machine. So what do you think? What all methods can I access here? Can I access methods from car class? No, because this Mac is an instance of machine class, and machine class has these two methods only. So it always depends on whose variable you are creating. So here I'm creating an instance of machine class, that is machine Mac, and then I'm initializing it with machine constructor. So this Mac class will have methods only from machine. Okay, so here you can see it has method as run and save. These two are from machine class. So I can either call save, or I can call uh, what was other, run. Okay, so this is when you create an instance of parent class. So remember this, that if a class is a parent class and it extends, sorry, this is a child class and this is parent class. So parent class does not know about their child here. Okay, which all classes are inheriting this machine does not know. Whereas this car class knows which class I'm inheriting. So this class car class knows that I'm inheriting machine. Okay, so when I'll create instance of car class, I'll say car, let's say Alto equal to new car. So I created an instance of car class here. Now when you'll see this car, this instance of car class has variables from machine class, has methods from machine class, as well as methods from car class. Why? Because this car class extends machine, because it knows that my parent class is machine. So this car class will have all the methods from machine class as well. Clear this concept, that how we are getting run and run as both?
Saurabh,
Yeah,
if I just want to use one of the class from machine, how would I do that?
one of the class from machine or one of the method from machine.
Method from machine, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I said, that if you're creating an instance of machine class, then you can directly access mac.save. If you are creating instance of car class, then for this car you will have methods from both. You can have methods from which are there only in car and which are there in machine, both. So this alto is a variable which can access methods of car as well as machine. So did I
No,
answer your question?
like,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Take an example of class A and class B. Class
Mm-hmm.
B is a child of class A,
Mm-hmm.
and class B is inheriting all of the methods from class A right now.
Yeah.
But there are two methods in class A.
Okay, you want to say that I want to just inherit one, not the other.
Yes.
So that will come, I mean, in some time. There is something known as access modifiers. You can use that.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Okay. So for now, you can see that all the methods in this machine class were public. So that's the reason all the methods are available here. But if you want few to be inherited, not all, then there is a concept known as access modifiers. We will discuss in some time, and then I'll explain you how you can restrict some of the methods. Okay. So till now, any questions? Okay, so these two things were very simple, that if I'm creating an instance of machine class, I'll get methods only from machine. If I'm getting creating methods from if I'm creating an instance of car class, I'll get methods from uh, car only. Sorry, from both car as well as from machine. Okay, there is one more concept, but before that, let's discuss about constructor. What will happen to the constructor? See, in machine class, I'm creating one constructor, and here I'm simply writing I'm a I am a constructor from machine class. Okay, then I'll go to this car, and here I'll say, just type the name of the class and press Ctrl spacebar. It will give you an option to create the constructor directly. Okay, here also I'll say I am a constructor of car class. Okay, so here in demo, if I'll execute this code, if I execute this code, you will see that when see this constructor thing is being called many a times. See, I'm a constructor from machine class. Then these two methods, save and run. Then I created an instance of car class, and you can see how many times this is executed. I'm a constructor from machine class. I'm a constructor from car class. So remember that when you have a child class, you're creating an instance of child class. Then not only the constructor of child class, but also the constructor of parent class will be executed in that case. So both the constructor will be called if you're creating an instance of car class, the one from car as well as the one from machine. So you need to take it in that way only. Okay, my bad. I guess in both I've given machine. No. Okay, yeah. So here you can see I'm a constructor from machine class and I'm a constructor from car class. Both are executed. Okay, so first then the constructor from machine is executed and then from car. Why? Because this car class extends machine, and as it extends machine, it will have everything from machine class, all the variables and all the methods. So even the constructor will also be accessible. Okay, so any questions till now? Okay, fine. So let's move on to the next concept. Next concept we have is what will happen if I create instance of machine but initialize it with child. Okay, so what does I mean is, see here. Here I'm creating a class variable from machine class. Let's say machine uh, any name Mac Mac Mac. Okay, equal to, but I'm initializing it with constructor of car class. So this is also possible. What we are doing is we are creating an instance of machine class but initializing it with one of its child class. So this is also possible, because what does this constructor consist of? Uh, constructor consists of constructor generally initializes the thing, right? So here also we are just saying initialize the variables, and we know that this car class inherits this machine, so it will have everything of machine class, so we can initialize it. Okay, now what do you think? Which all methods will be available? Do you think methods from car class will be there? Yes, no, maybe? My question is, when I'm calling this methods of from this Mac variable, uh, does the methods from car class will be available or not? Yes or no? What do you think?
I think so. It will be available.
Okay, you think it will be available. What about others? Sandhya and Deepika, what do you think? No idea? Okay, so let's see what will happen. So if I say Mac dot, you will see methods only from machine class is available. Okay, now how this happened? You can see that nothing from car class, because there was a method run as is not there. Why? Because here, look at this variable. This variable is an instance of machine class, right? And we are calling one constructor called car class. So when this code will be compiled, at the time of compilation, your JVM will know that this Mac is an instance of machine class. So it will give you access only of the methods of this, because machine does not know which all classes it is inheriting. Here, when we were creating the instance of car class, that time why all the methods from car as well as machines are available? Because in that instance, at the time of compilation only, your JVM will get to know that this car class extends machine, so it will give you access of all the methods from machine class itself. So that's the reason that why the instance of car class has all the methods from car as well as from machine, because your compiler got to know that it is an inheriting machine. Whereas in this particular example, when we are creating an instance of machine class, this machine does not know which all classes it is inheriting, so it will just have methods from machine class only. Okay, now this car constructor, why this is possible? Because this car class inherits machine, so you can call the constructor normally. Okay, so that's the reason this Mac will have only methods from Mac class, machine class. So you can either call run or you can call a save, but not save as or run as. Okay, yeah,
So,
yeah,
sir,
Jishan.
so we have studied like whatever is on the right side, it will go towards the left side. So from right to left.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we put some values like 5 or 7, and
That is
it will
that
go
is
towards from
assignment.
right to left.
No, so you got
Assignment.
you're
So
getting.
with the new car, so
Mhm.
whatever we have in the car,
Mhm.
why it is not going to that
No,
variable
it's
like
okay.
Mac?
Okay, you're getting confused here. It's not. I'm not. See, this is this is different. Uh, I know that equal to sign is to assign values. Here, this is not for assignment. What here we are doing is we this Mac here. First of all, we are declaring a variable called Mac, which is an instance of machine class. Okay, then I agree that if you'll do equal to and then assign some value directly, then it will be like assignment, and whatever you will assign here, whatever you give here, that will go to Mac. But here, as soon as you encountered this new keyword is to if you remember, it was to instantiate. So what this new variable do? It will create memory location for this variable, which all memory location it will create memory location for all the variables which are defined in this machine class. So this new keyword is to instantiate. Now a memory location is created, and which memory location is created? The one it will create a memory location for the variables which are defined in this machine class only. Okay, and what does this car uh, constructor do? Recall, it was for initializing. Initializing what? Initializing the variables which you have created for this machine class. Okay, so let's say this machine class here, this it has two variables or three variables. One was engine power, and second was, let's say, x variable, and third was y variable. These are the three variables which this machine class has. What does this car constructor will do? This car constructor will assign default values to these variables. Maybe 0, here it defined 10, or here it defined 11. Okay, so this is this is the concept in this case when you're creating a variable. Okay, so that's the reason that constructor is possible, because constructor knows everything about machine and it can simply go and assign the values. Simple. Whereas uh, this Mac is a variable of machine class, so when you're doing an instantiation, it will create only variables for machine class, and it does not know anything about car. Okay, so this is a small concept. Clear now, or any doubt? Any doubt still?
That's fine.
Sure, na? If you have any doubt, do let me know. I'll try to explain another way. So this
Okay,
is
just to
not,
mention in the machine.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is not, I mean, this is not something known as like assigning value. It is like, as you know, the concept of this new, you know, the concept of this car, then think what is happening. Here we are creating a variable of machine class that is as same as the other one, other variables, but then we are using a new keyword. What does this new keyword do? This new keyword instantiate uh, the memory. Okay, so this new keyword instantiate uh, or allocates the memory for the variables which are defined in machine class, as it can only assign for this. Machine does not know anything about its child, so it will this new keyword will assign value only for these. But when we are calling this car class, what does this car class can do? This car class can is used for initialization. So initializing what? Variables of machine class. So as car class knows everything about machine, so it can initialize. Clear?
And only constructor can be initialized, nothing else in this
Yeah,
case.
yeah, yeah. Only constructor is something which you can call here because that is used for initializing. You cannot call any other methods of machine class. Oh, sorry, car class. Okay?
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So Sarah,
Yeah, 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 go ahead.
um, yeah, so for example, for in machine class, right? So we initialize the variables. Um, let's say, for example, x, y, z, x equal to 1, y equal to 2, and z equal to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And in car class, if we initialize the same variables, say for example, x equal to 4, y equal to 5, and z equal to 6. So in this case, like, will it assign like 4, 5, 6?
What do you think? What should it assign?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Because we are calling the constructor car.
Yeah, you're calling the constructor car, and the thing is, if you just
Yeah.
look at, just give me a second. If you look at when I executed this code, when last time I
Mm.
executed this code, let me execute it again. So, so when you executed this code, first
Mm.
the constructor of machine class is called, and then the constructor of car class is called. Right? So if you'll so in this case, as constructor of machine class is called, first the value will be assigned whatever is given in machine, then they will be overridden by the constructor of car. So you can always say the one which are there in child class will be there.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay, why it is printing this one? I did not understand this print statement.
which one?
The print statement that I'm a constructor from machine class or like from car class.
Here I did
Like
not
what?
see in the car,
Huh? Huh?
in the class car class I created a constructor where I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah, that I understood. Then when you call that, I
this one
mean, huh?
for this key you're
So
saying.
when you, yeah, like whatever, like in the
Okay,
console,
I'll,
we are
I'll
seeing
explain.
those.
I'll explain this constructor part again. See, when you're
Mm,
creating an instance of machine class and initializing it with machine constructor only, that time only one constructor is called. If I'll show you the console, only one constructor is called. That is, I am a constructor from machine class. That's all.
mm,
And after that, there
mm,
is save method and run method. So this is, I guess, clear. No doubt in it,
mm,
right?
yeah.
Let's come to this car class. This car class is a constructor. This alto class, alto object is a class. Sorry, my bad. What I'm saying is this car is a class. I'm creating an instance alto and then initializing it with car. Okay. Now this alto is an instance of car class which inherits machine. That means this when you are initializing, you need to initialize all the variables of machine as well as car. So this constructor, when you're calling, it will call the constructor of car as well as machine. That's how it is there. Okay. Clear?
Mhm.
Now coming to the third thing, again same concept. When you're creating, when you are creating an instance of machine class here, but initializing with car class, constructor of car class. So that time also it will call the constructor of car as well as it will call the constructor of machine. Okay, so this is how constructors work, that they call all the constructors of their parent class as well. Okay, so this car constructor will also call the constructor of machine, because here we need to initialize the variables of machine class as well, right?
Okay, so the variables will be overridden, but the construct, the print statement, whatever it is there,
They will be for
so
both.
it printed from the machine class as well the car, right?
Yes,
That's
yes,
what you're
yes,
saying.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Variables
Mm.
are also like the variables which are there in machine. In the constructor of machine, whatever you have signed first, that will be assigned, but that will be overridden by the car variable, car constructor.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So that's how it will work.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So any other questions here? So very simple to remember this inheritance. What are the concepts you need to remember for now is, first thing, there is a class A and then there is a class B. Class A is my parent class, or you can also call it as superclass. Then class B will be child class, or you can call it as subclass. Class B, the to inherit the keyword used is extends. So it will be class B extends class A. What does this mean? This means that class B is a class which will have everything from class A, as we are using this keyword called extends. Okay, and yeah, so this class B will have all the methods from class A. Then we saw how you can create instances. So first is, if you're creating an instance of machine class, that is parent class, and initializing with the constructor of parent class, it's as simple as a normal variable having all the methods from machine class itself. Then we have is this Mac. Then we have creating an instance of this car class, which is our subclass or child class, and a child class uh, will have the variable of child class will have all the methods from parent as well as from child. Okay, then we saw one more thing where we are creating an instance of machine class, but initializing with constructor of one of the child class. This is also possible. In this case, what will happen? The methods are available only from machine class, but as their constructor was called from car class, the initialization will be from the constructor of car class. So there is one more concept in it, which I'll explain you once we'll cover overriding. Okay, but for now, these are the few concepts. Any questions till now? Okay, fine. So let's see the next concept. Next thing we have is in the same thing. I mean, in here only. Uh, let's start with polymorphism. So in polymorphism, uh, we have two. One is overloading and second one is overriding. So let's discuss about overriding first, and then we'll discuss about overriding. So what is this overloading? So if in a class, I'll create a class, let's say shape. Okay, now let me give you a small example. Um, let's say I want to calculate area of different shapes. Okay, so what all shapes you have? Let's say I have a circle and I have a square. Okay, a rectangle, and then I have a square. Okay, so let's say there are three shapes. Okay, So I want to calculate the area of these three shapes. So what, if you recall, what is the area? The area is, first one is pi r square. This was the formula, and second is where we have length into breadth, and third one where we have side square. Okay, and let's consider that here radius is in double. Double means it's a float value or a decimal value, right? And here this side, this s is an integer, so I'll say int. Okay, and here length is, let's say, an integer, and breadth is also an integer. So this is what you have. Okay, so this is what you have. Now, what will you do if you need to create the area? Way will be, you will keep the name of the method as different. Let's say for circle, you will keep the name of the method as area of circle. For square, you will keep it as area of square, and for rectangle, you will keep it as area of rectangle, because all the three are different, right? Or you can do one more thing where you can keep the method name as same, and you can overload that method three times to calculate or to use different inputs. Okay, like here, this first one takes an input as one single value, radius, but the type is double. In the second, it takes two variables, both are of integer type. And in third, it takes only one variable, but that is of integer type. So method is same, that is area, and inputs are different. So let me quickly show you how. So I created a class called shape, and in that I'll create one method, public void, and I'll keep the name as area. Okay. For the first one, let's say for square shape, public void area I'm keeping as int. uh, Square shape, what will you need? You need int length, right? So one method I created here. This is one method. Then second you need is for rectangle, so it will be public void area, and here I need two variables. So one is length. See, it is giving me an error now when I put length. What it is saying? It is saying when I hover over it, it is saying duplicate method area int in this type shape. So that means this variable, these two methods are exactly same. Here also the name is area. Here also the name is area, and argument is same. So then it will throw you an exception, duplicate method. But if you change their number of methods, so here let's say I'm saying int length and int width. Okay, when you save it now, you will see that there is no error. Why? Because now your compiler can differentiate between these two methods. Your compiler will get to know, okay, this is one method known as area, which has only one argument, whereas this is another method with same name area, but this has two argument. One is length and second is width. Here there is only one argument, that is length. Okay, so here area. So this concept of writing two different methods with same name but different argument is known as method overloading. Okay, I'll show you one more scenario here where I'll again keep the method name as same area, but will change its, let's say here I'm saying radius. So here you can see again there is a method called area. Three methods. What is different in the three? These two differ by number of variables and these two differ by type of variable. Okay, so double radius. Okay, sometimes people get confused that if I keep the name of the method, the name of the argument different, it will be different. No, number of arguments and type of argument is something which drives this. So here you can see this is one method called area which has int length, and here it is int radius. So they are same because only the name of the variable is different. When you will call these method, you will not specify the name anywhere, right? So your compiler will get confused which to call. But here, why there is no confusion, why there is no ambiguity? The reason why there is no ambiguity, because this method has different type of argument. It has radius type of argument, whereas it has int type of argument. Name of the method is same. So this concept is known as method overloading. Okay, so just one point. I'll keep the return type as same for all. Double. Okay, and here I'll simply say a return. What is the formula? Pi r square, right? So it will be math dot pi into length. Sorry, this is square. Uh, so this will be for the last one. Radius into radius, and here it will be return length into width, and here it will be return length into length. So these are the three methods created. One is area, with whose return will be okay. So this is example of method overloading. Best example of method overloading. Any questions?
So math.py means pi. It will
Yeah.
take the
Yes. Yes. The value of
oh,
pi. Yeah. So there are all the
okay.
constants are defined in this math class, so you can go through it. I mean, like taking logs, square root, trigonometric function, everything is like defined in this. So no need of explicitly defining it. You can use directly to this one.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions here? Okay. So I have a small question here. What do you think? The methods, whatever methods we are defining, are they decided at runtime, or are they decided at compile time? I mean, which method to call, will that be decided at runtime or will that be decided at compile time? What do you think?
Compile time.
Perfect. Yes, they'll be decided at compile time, because when I'll create one, if I create another class here and let's say I'm calling it demo shape. Okay, and here if I'll have a main method. So in this main method, when I'm creating an instance of shape class, let's say shape and anything, let's say maybe circle. Okay, equal to new shape. Okay, so circle dot area. So when I'm creating this variable, that time only I'll decide which one to call. So when this method will be called, your compiler itself will get to know, okay, as the argument is 12.5, that means I need to call the method which is there here. that is the one which takes radius argument. So there is no ambiguity here. So just remember that overloading is compile time, not run time. This is one of the interview question frequently asked, that what is this overloading? Is it a compile time or a runtime? So your answer should be, it is always a compile time. Okay, so any questions here? Anything? Any doubt? Okay, so this is all in overloading. Next we have is overriding, but let's have a break before that for 7 minutes and then we'll continue with other concepts. What? Okay, so see you after 7 minutes and then we'll continue with other topics. Okay, so we can continue now. Any questions before I start? Okay. So next topic we have is method overriding. So let's talk about that. Okay, before that, let me take one more topic, that is uh, excess modifiers, and then we'll discuss about overriding. Okay, because after that few concepts will also come. Okay, so let's talk about excess modifiers. Okay, so what is excess modifiers? Uh, just a second. Okay, so excess modifiers are how or what access you want to give to your methods and variables. Okay, see here. Currently, how can you access methods? First, let's discuss that. Okay, say for example, if I have this demo machine here, I can access methods. One, by creating an instance. So here I'm creating an instance of machine class, and then I'm accessing same method, mac.save, mac.run. Or what you can do in this case is uh, this car class extends machine class. That means this car class has all the methods from machine class. So if you'll see here, I don't need any variable to call run method. I can simply call run. Why? Because this run method, which is there in machine class, is available in car class because car class inherits machine class. Okay, so you can access methods of other class either by extending it or by creating its instance. Clear? These are two ways by which you can access or call the methods of other class. One, by creating an instance of that class and then calling it like variable name dot method or object dot method, and the second way is by extending the other class. So here this car class extends machine class. So in this, I can call the method of machine class without even creating instance. I just called run directly. It is available, it is accessible to me. Clear? Any questions here? Okay, so why I wanted to discuss, because depending upon how you are accessing the methods, by extending them or by inheriting, access can change. Okay, so there are four levels of access which you can provide to any variable, and three keywords are used. For fourth access modifier, no keyword is used. So they are, first one is public, second one is private, and third one is protected, fourth one is default. For default, no keyword is used. Okay, so for others, these are the keywords. Public is a keyword, private is a keyword, protected is a keyword, and default does not have any keyword. So these are four access modifiers. Okay, let's talk about them one by one. So the first one, that is public. Public methods and variables can be accessed anywhere with any way within a project. Okay, so if you have created any method or variable as public, that method or variable can be accessed within the complete project anywhere. Within this QA hub, wherever you want to call that method or variable, by inheriting or by creating instance, they can be called anywhere in the project. Okay, so that is the level of access this public has. Okay, any questions here? Okay, talking about private. Now, private, as the name suggests, private, this will be something which will be private. So if you are creating any method or variable as private, that method can only and only be accessed within the same class. It cannot be accessed outside the class by any way. I mean, even you create, uh, even if you create an instance or you extend, in both ways you cannot call that method. Like, I'll give you an example. In this machine class, I'll create another method, let's say private void, maybe something um, open. Okay, so here open is a private method. Okay, so this open method you can call within the same class. Here, if I say open, it it can be called here, but if you come here in the car class, just like I called this run, if I try to call open, it will not it will not come. See, it will give you an error stating this method is not visible. So the method open from
So
type, yeah,
what will this run do?
this run will execute the run method. Whatever you have done here, it will execute that.
Okay.
Okay, so when you'll call this method called car, yeah, okay, this I called in a constructor, right? So when you create an instance of this constructor, when you call this constructor, that time this run method will also be executed.
Okay.
Okay,
Fine.
so here you can see it is showing that the method open from the type machine is not visible. So this is not visible. Okay, why it is not visible? Because in machine this method called open is a private method. As soon as you make it public, it will start appearing there. No error now. See, no error. All the errors are gone. Why? Because that method is public now. If you change it back to private, again you will start getting this error. So private methods can only be accessed within same class, not outside. Like here, if you try to call through by creating an instance, then also this open method is not there. It does not show you open method. Why? Because this open method is a private method. Okay, so public clear, private clear, these two are very easy to remember. Let's talk about protected. Okay, so protected and default are quite similar. And what is the what that similarity is? That both protected and default can be accessed anywhere with any mean within a package. Okay, within a package, both has exactly same access, and that access is quite similar to public. That within a package, they can be accessed anywhere with any means. I mean, by creating a variable or by creating an instance or by inheritance. Both ways they can be accessed anywhere. But outside a package, this default cannot be accessed at all, whereas protected can be accessed through inheritance. What I'm saying is, here I have this package. Within this package, you can access default methods or protected method anywhere in any class by creating instance as well as by inheritance. But outside this package, that method cannot be accessed at all in case it's a default, but can be accessed outside through inheritance if it is protected. I'll show you one example. Here in machine class, let's make a method protected. Let's say I created a method called create and I'm keeping it as protected. Okay, so outside the class here, I can call it uh, create. This is called simple. Okay, same method by inheritance you can call same access, right? Now let's talk about a new package. Let's say in day 7 I create demo access modifier. Okay, I'm not in I mean inheriting that class. Here, if I create one main method, okay, and here if I try to call, let's say, let me create a class instance of machine class. Let's say Mac equal to new machine. Okay, and here I say Mac dot C. Create is not available. Others are available. Run is available. Oh, other one, what was other one? Save is available, but open is not available. Why open is not available? Sorry, create is not available because create is a protected method. It cannot be accessed by creating an instance. But if you'll extend machine class here, okay, then that create method will be available. Okay, my bad. Some method, let's say, or let me create a constructor. So inside this, if you'll call this create method, you can call it. Why you can call it now? Because this create method is something which you're getting from machine class. And that create method is a protected method. Protected method can be accessed outside a package via via inheritance, but not through creating an instance. Clear? Any questions here? Okay. So this was about protected. Now, as I told you, protected and default are quite similar when it comes within same package. That means they're accessible everywhere. But you, if we talk about outside a package, let me change this to default. For default, you don't need anything. So see, when I made it create, here it will start giving you an error, but it has not given me any error in demo machine or car class. No error here, though I'm calling create here. No error here, though I'm calling create, because they are in same package. But when it comes to outside a package, it cannot be accessed at all. Not even through inheritance, not through by creating an instance. Clear? Any questions? Any doubt here?
Yeah,
So
Saurabh, can you
protect.
show me the class? Create class. I
Create.
mean method. Method.
So here create method is a default method. It does not have
Oh, okay.
this modifier.
Okay. Okay, now I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Jishan, what is your query?
Yes, the protected one, once we inherit it from one package to another, it is behaving quite similar to public then.
Yeah, the only difference in protected is that outside a package, I mean the difference between protected and public is that outside a package by creating an instance you cannot access a protected method, whereas you can access public method. Okay, and what is the difference between protected and default? Difference is default outside a package cannot be accessed at all, whereas protected can be accessed by inheriting, not by creating instance. So this is the difference.
Hmm. Correct.
Okay. Yeah, so any other questions here? Any question? Deepika, you have? I mean, you're not asking any question. Any query? Yes, no? Okay. So let's move on to the next thing. And next we have was okay. So let's talk about overloading again. What do you think? Can I overload a private method? Yes, no? What do you think? Can I overload a private method? See here, I have this open method. Can I overload it? Okay, let me not affect this. I'll create another method. Private void. I'll create open. Okay. So here, see, currently it is giving me an error. What? Duplicate method. But as soon as I pass one variable here, you will see no error. That means you can inherit private methods as well. This is one method with name open which does not have any argument. This is another method with same name which has an argument int length. So you can inherit, oh sorry, you can overload a private method. Okay, so I have one more question. Think and answer. So the question is, we talked about that we cannot inherit, uh, we cannot, sorry. So the question is that we can overload a method when arguments are different. My question is, can I overload a method with same argument but different return type? I mean, method name remains same open, but return type for one is void and for second one is int. There also there is a distinguish between these two methods, right? Here also there is a distinguish that it takes only one argument whereas it takes multiple arguments. So there is a distinguish. So compiler will know which one to call. Now my question is that can I have a method, can I have two methods with same name, same argument but different return type? Yes, Jish?
No.
No. What about others? Sandhya, what do you think? Can
The
you have?
reason the reason is the reason is because whenever we type the same name, it starts generating that error message.
Uh, so that is doing because it has an ambiguity. Okay, by that time you change the argument, it will not give you any error. My question was, uh, when method name are same, return type is different, then also there is a difference in two methods. So will there be any ambiguity? So your answer is correct, but your reason is uh,
Not correct.
not correct. Yeah.
So we cannot have the same name, same argument, although the return types are different.
Yeah. So why you cannot have? Because then there will again there will be ambiguity because this decision of which method to call happens at compile time. Okay, and when you're calling any method, see when you call this open method, nowhere you mention which what is the return type. You nowhere you mention what is the return type, right? So your
Oh.
compiler will have an ambiguity which method to call because based on return type, your compiler cannot take decision, right? So this is the reason that you cannot have two methods with same name, same argument, but different return type. You can have two methods with same names, different argument. That is possible.
What about the protected method? Can we do the overloading for that?
Yes, yes, you can do overloading for all the method, all the access modifiers, be it
Even for the
protected,
default as
public.
well.
Yeah, that does not depend on access modifier actually.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah. Clear? Any doubt here? Okay, so last question. Can we have two methods with same name, different argument and different return type? Yes, no. I mean this open with void and open with this open one variable, one argument and return type as int. Can we have that? What do you think, Jishan? Can we have?
I think so.
Yes, you can have, because here again there won't be any ambiguity, right? The distinguish is based on the arguments. So if there is a distinguish based on arguments, then there is no problem, because if the first one will be called, that time the return type will be void. When second one will be called, that time return type will be int. So you can have two methods with same name, same arguments, uh, but different return type. Now why it is giving you an error? Error is because you have kept the return type as int. You need to return an integer value. So here I'll say return, let's say some integer value 10. That error will be gone. So see, two methods open, same name, different arguments. So overloading is there, a return type is different, void, integer. So very simple way to remember which method is possible and which is not. The simple is, if there is an ambiguity for the compiler to decide which to call, then that is not possible. Otherwise, all other possible combination, sorry, all other combinations are possible. Okay, so only difference is when your compiler is not able to decide which one to call, that's a problem. Otherwise, there is no problem. Okay,
So it is not depend on the return type.
so yeah, does not depend on return type.
Yeah, yeah. It just depends on the arguments
Yeah,
and
it depends
yeah,
on
arguments.
arguments. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So this is method overloading. Now let's come to method overriding. So what does method overriding means? See, sometime what happens is, okay, Jishan, did I answer your starting question? How to inherit only few methods, not others? So you can change their access modifier. Let's say if you want run, save, out of this run and open, only one to be inherited, change it to private. This will be accessible only. I mean, this will be available only. Only run will be available, not the save, because the save will be available within the same class only. Okay.
Yes, yes, this is fine.
Okay. So now one more thing. Sometimes,
So sorry, what did you say?
yes, Sandhya, I said that Jishan in the starting asked this question, that how can we make only one method to be inherited, not the other one? Let's say there are two methods, run and save. So he wants only run to be inherited, not the save. So what I said, one solution to it is just change the access modifier of save to private. Then that will not be available.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So next we
So,
have is,
one question, one question.
yeah.
So, if I have three classes,
Mm-hmm.
A, B, and C,
Mm-hmm.
and you just mentioned that in class A, one method is public and another one is private.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to access in class B the first method from class A
Mm-hmm.
and class C the second method from class A.
Okay.
So now you are
So
making second method as private. I cannot access that.
yeah, that is not possible. So what you
Okay.
have to do in that case, you need to segregate your classes. I mean, you need to divide your class A into two classes. Let's say class A1, class A2. Then you will inherit class A1 first one, and class A2 for the second one. That's how you'd have to do.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, so there are many things left also, like multiple inheritance is not possible and all. I'll discuss with the time. Okay, one more thing here. Yeah. So what is there is, let's say I have this machine class, okay, and I have this car class. Now, let's say you have two methods. One is run and second is save. Two public methods. Okay. Now this car class is something where I need this run and I also need this save, but the way the save is implemented for car is different than for machine. Okay, let's say in machine I'm saying save of machine, but I want some other implementation in car class. Okay, I want this method called save, but the implementation is different in car. Or there is another class which inherits this machine. In that I need these two methods, but the second one has different implementation. Then what can we do in that case? And I also need that in machine class also. Okay, so there is a concept of method overloading. What you can do is in your car class you can create.
Saurabh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, sorry.
Can you repeat that scenario again?
Yeah, the scenario is in my machine class I have two methods, run and save. It has some implementation. We are doing something in this run and we are doing something in this save. Okay. Now, this car class, when this car class inherits this machine class, it will have run method from machine and it will have save method from machine. Okay, run is fine. This for this car class, run I can work with this machine also. I mean, whatever is written in machine, I can. The same method is required, but for save, the implementation is different. Okay, I want a different way to save for car and different for machine. Or maybe a third class is created, maybe some other type of machine class is created. Uh, let's say some just name any one machine. One car is a machine and water machine, washing machine, let's say. Okay, and for this washing machine, this also extends machine. And it also needs methods from this machine class, both run and save. But again, save, the way we save in machine, the way we save in car, and the way we save in washing machine is different. All the three have different implementation. Okay, so what you'll do, one way is create different methods, save machine, save car, and save washing machine. This is one way. Or second way is keep the method name as save, and in car class override that method. How? Public void, and let's say the name of the method was save, so I'll say save. Okay, as soon as you save this file you will see that here an arrow will come. What does this arrow says? This rectangle, green rectangle here, tells you that this save method, what you are writing, is an overriding method. Okay, if you are trying to write some other method, change its name, or if you are overriding it, then yeah, this is an overriding. So here, if I'll change this to, let's say, I am a method from car class. So this method is an overriding method. So in, let's say, demo car, here when I create an instance of machine class, sorry, yeah, if I create an instance of machine class, or I create an instance of car class, see when I call this for Mac, the save method for Mac, and when I call this same method save for for car, see the difference when I execute. See, for this car, for this machine, it called save method of machine class, whereas for car, it called I'm a method from car class, right? So this is the difference. This is what we call, this is known as method overriding. Here you are overriding the implementation of parent class. So there was a method called save, which was there in parent class and was also there in child class. Okay, and the method in child class override the implementation of parent class. So the save method was for the car class was called from car class itself. This is method overriding. Clear? Any question? So what should be same in method overriding? In method overriding, your signature should be same. It should have same. Uh, See here, it should have same access modifier, same return type, and name of the method should also be same. If you change the argument, then it will become a new method. Okay, so if in car class I add one more argument, let's say int x, you will see that that arrow is gone because it's not a overriding method anymore. It's a different method altogether. It was same when the argument were also same when they were exactly same. Okay, so then it is an overriding method. Okay, one more point to remember: you cannot degrade the excess modifier. You cannot downgrade the excess modifier. Important point to note. Here, see, we have four excess modifiers. Public is the top one. Top one means it has access to all. Okay, then we have protected, and then we have default, and then we have private, right? So if a method is a public method, if a method is a public method, here in machine class, save is a public method. When you are overriding it, you cannot degrade it. That means you cannot change it to protected or default or private. Okay, you can either keep it same or you can upgrade. Upgrade means, let's say here it was a protected. Here it is a protected method, and you can change it to public here. Okay, but you cannot degrade it. If it is a public and you cannot degrade in the child class. Clear? You can upgrade it. Upgrade means this is the hierarchy: public, protected, default, and private. So you can make a private method as default in subclass. Okay, uh, and then you can make a default method as protected in subclass, and you can make a protected method as public. But the other way around is not possible, not allowed. Clear? Any questions? Okay, so let's talk about other thing. One more concept we have here, that is overriding in the last way. Like It's the next thing which I'm going to explain that is little confusing. So I'll try to explain you as much as possible. But yeah, let's see what you understand. See, what I'm saying now is when you created an instance of machine class, it called a method from machine. Okay, when you created an instance of car class, it called the method from car class because it was an overriding method. Now let's take the third thing. Okay, and here I'm creating an instance of machine class, let's say Mac equal to new, but I'm initializing it with car class. Okay, then only methods from machine class can be called. So I can call the same method, right? But what do you think? Which one will be called? The one from machine class or the one from car class? Which one will be called? What do you think? Think and answer.
I think machine.
Okay, what about others, Sandhya?
I think the similar situation we discussed earlier, but
We, we
we have
discussed
saved in.
we discussed earlier situation, but there was no overriding method. Methods was
Overriding.
there.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm fine, man. But the concept would be similar, I guess.
Okay. What do you think, Sandhya?
Yeah, I think from machine only.
Okay. So again, it no, it I mean
No?
here no, it will not call the method from machine, but it will call method from car. Little confusing. Let me try to explain it.
Yes.
Okay. See, there are two things as discussed earlier also. One is decision at compile time and second is decision at runtime. Okay. So earlier I told you that as this Mac is an instance of machine class, at the compile time you'll not get any error because the save method is there in machine class. Okay, so compilation is fine. Okay, that means I called the same method. The same method was there in machine class, so I will not get any error because at compile time your compiler will be able to find the same method. But when it comes to runtime is where execution happens. Okay, now as this Mac instance of machine class initialized with car constructor, okay, initialized with car constructor, so the initialization is there from one of its subclass. So the method which you will call, okay, if it is an overriding method in this car class, then that will be called. This decision will be taken at the runtime. Okay, so this is the reason why save from car class will be executed because of this constructor. Constructor tells your I mean JVM when it is executing, this constructor tells that okay, it is initialized with car class, so execute the method from which is there in car class as it is an overriding method. Okay, so I know a little confusing, but yeah, this is how it works. Okay, clear? Doubt? No explanation? What? I mean, anything? So this
I
one
think we
point,
should discuss this tomorrow morning because we are already overloaded now.
you're overloaded. Fine, fine. We'll discuss this point, but for now, just remember it because this is something which we are going to use a lot in Selenium as well. In Selenium also, we'll create an instance of WebDriver class, initialize it with Chrome driver, and you'll see that methods from Chrome driver are called. Okay, so what I'm saying is here whatever overriding methods you have, that will be called from the one whose constructor you are calling. Okay,
Hmm.
So yeah, that's all in overriding. Maybe this last point we can discuss tomorrow morning with a recap of whatever we have covered today. Okay, so we covered these things today. Encapsulation, just read about it from some book. There is one a wonderful book known as one is uh, Head First with Java, and second one is SCJP by Ketty Saira. So both the books are available on Google, free of course. You can just search for them, and PDF are available. So you can
Can you
take,
write it down?
yeah, book name. I'll write it down. Let me write down in your as a note here. The one is SCJP by Ketty Saira, and second is by Head First with Java. This Head First with Java is written by two people. One is again Ketty Saira, and second is one more person. Okay, and she has also written this book called SCJP by Katie Sarah. So you can either search for second edition or third edition. They have till Java 7, but for us it's fine because we'll not be covering any topics from advanced topics. We need the basic concepts only. So you can read these two big books, or you can simply Google any Java tutorial. Just type Java tutorial. The first few tutorials which will come, you can read any one of them because all of them are mature now. Okay, because Java is there from long now, so all of those tutorials are mature. You can take any one of the two. Okay, so just read about these basic concepts. Yeah, so that's all. Any other question?
Nope.
Sir, can you repeat the last sentence
Wha-
about that overriding?
Overriding. Okay, so yeah, overriding, I said that in case of when you're creating an instance of just a second, where it is. Yeah, when you're creating an instance of machine class, but initializing it with some of its one of its subclass, then at compile time this will not fail because the save method is there in machine class. But as the constructor is being called from one of its child class, so the at the runtime the execution will be from that child class only. So it will call the same method will be called from car class. So this is what I was explaining.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so you can read about this from any one of the book or from the tutorial. You will understand the basics, and tomorrow we'll continue with the other concepts. So here we have abstraction. In abstraction, we'll be covering abstract class.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be covering abstract class, then I'll be covering data hiding. Okay, and I'll also be covering one more topic, that is in interfaces. Okay, so abstraction, I mean data hiding also comes in abstraction. Abstract classes is one way of achieving abstraction. Interfaces is another way of achieving abstraction. Okay, so we'll talk about all the three things. Actually, this data hiding is abstraction only. So yeah, we'll discuss tomorrow what actually I mean. Okay, and one more thing, Sandhya and Jishan and Deepika, if you want to start test NG, I'll be starting it at 10:30. That means after 35 minutes. If you want to learn that topic early, then you can join today's class at 10:30. But I'll be covering in your batch also. So if you want to cover quickly and early, then you can join today's class at 10:30 as well. Otherwise, you can join anyways, learn in your batch. Okay. So I'll be starting test NG today at 10:30. Yeah. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining. See you tomorrow.